Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By. Today is our 10 forward, where we will be discussing Galaxy Quest.
Woo!
I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames,
Caitlin,
and Jake.
So we're not going to bother with a long synopsis, because movies are complicated.
Also, you should just watch the movie.
Yeah, watch fucking Galaxy
so
Quest.
good.
Yeah, seriously. It's basically, if 7 samurai and 3 amigos had a little science fiction baby, this is your movie. The very short version is that a bunch of people from a Star Trek-like show who now basically have no careers save going to conventions get hired, for lack of a better term, by... Conscripted by a race of aliens who have seen the show but think it's historical documents, have perfectly recreated the ship and technology and everything, and have them fight off this horrible lizard bug man because they don't know how to do it themselves, and along the way everyone learns valuable things about things.
And it's hilarious.
It's so funny.
It's hilarious.
Like the comic timing and segues and acting, it's all fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good cast, too.
It's an amazing cast.
Yeah.
There are also some really heart-wrenching moments.
Yeah.
Some more heart-wrenching than others.
There were 2 for me where I was really wrenched.
Well, name your 2.
Oh, man. Well, it probably goes without saying that spoilers abound from here on.
Yeah, no,
awesome.
we are assuming you've watched the movie or don't give a fuck.
I just, it's the first, 2 minutes. I don't want to
No, I know.
be
I
like,
just...
bleh, spoiler. So for me, when Quillick died...
Oh, he was so sweet.
I was very unhappy. I was actually crying, and I was angry at this movie. This is, just the next in a line of, feel-good science fiction films that have made me cry. Because the original Star Trek makes me... when I say the original Star Trek...
The original reboot.
The Kelvin timeline Star Trek. I fucking wept like a baby in the middle of the movie theater when...
George
Kirk's ship blows up. I was like, Star Trek, why?
I was going to say, what sad happened
fucking
in 2000?
5 minutes in.
The first 5, yeah.
Well, Spock has to watch his whole planet implode.
Yeah, but who gives a shit? I'm just kidding.
I mean, what's interesting about that scene, though, is, of course, it's destruction on such an unimaginable scale.
Yeah, and we're also not connected with anyone really specifically on Vulcan.
Yeah, we're
connected with the one person off Vulcan, and that's it. And he
Amanda
doesn't have a big
Grayson
reaction.
gets it.
Yeah, but we didn't really get to know that version of her as much. It's more detached, so it's obviously sad in a way, but it's not like, watching George Kirk knowing he's dying, sending a farewell message to his wife while she gives birth. That was... You also just don't expect it in, again, a Star Trek movie.
So what? Okay, never mind. We'll wait for
we're
Star
way off
Trek
course. Sorry.
to talk
I
about
know.
this one. But
yeah, so Quillick dying made me cry, sad tears. And when Tim Allen had to tell Enrico Colantoni's character that had to tell Mathazar that they were actors, I was like, I couldn't, because I have a deep and long-lasting love of Enrico Colantoni. He was played Keith Mars in Veronica Mars, and I fell in love with him on that show. I was just like, he's just such a cute little dad.
I always thought it's because of Just Shoot Me.
He was going to shoot me, too.
I didn't see Just Shoot
No,
Me.
I know you hadn't. That's why I was just being wise.
that was a funny show.
I liked Just Shoot Me. I was a big fan of it at the time.
He was a photographer, right?
Yes, he was.
All right, in 8 years, do you guys want to do a Just Shoot Me podcast?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, he does. If you can play a Thermian, then you're an amazing actor.
This is true.
Because the Thermians, they're so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And everything, I swear, how much of this was them just, finding things for them to do? I'm sure in the script, it wasn't the second, you're touched, you make a funny, noise.
Yeah.
How much of this did they discover along the way?
I actually had a question that I wondered if you might know the answer because you do a lot of research.
I only did a little research for the movie, but go on.
I was wondering if they knew that they wanted them to talk that way, or if Enrico Colantoni came in and talked that way, and they were like, "Yup, that's it," and everyone has to do it that way.
I think there were probably at least some guidelines because they're not humans. They're imitating human movements, because they walk funny, they clap funny, they
James,
make.
Are you a Thermian?
Are you a Ferengi? That's how Ferengi say.
Females.
Humans.
Human female. I might be. I won't tell. But no, they're super cool. What I did read, which is even funner, is that Missy Pyle, the Thermian playing Leiliari, and we'll get to her in a second because she's fucking awesome.
She is awesome.
A background role until Steven Spielberg happened to be wandering around the set one day, helping out or something, and he saw her like doing stuff, and he says, "Wow, she's really good. You should expand her role." And then they included the romance with Tony Shalhoub, which makes me all kind of squee.
I love that wasn't originally in the script. That's amazing.
I think that Monk would be horrified by the relations that Fred or Frank
absolutely.
or whatever his name
Fred.
was.
Yeah,
Fred were having.
Kwan.
Tech Sergeant Chen. Not his real name.
Yeah, now speaking of Tech Sergeant Chen and Fred Kwan, I was trying to figure this out, and maybe this is, because I don't know if the film was implying this, that in the spirit of James Doohan or Walter Koenig playing ethnic characters, that they were not, if they were trying to imply that Tony Shalhoub was playing like a Chinese character. Because when they showed him, like, at the very beginning of the movie, when they show the intro to the show, like, it zooms in on him and he squints, like, really weirdly. And I'm like, is the implication that they just they hired, like, some really Jewish-looking guy, or is he Jewish? I don't know if he's Jewish.
Well, so that's
he's Jewish.
I think you're kind of... I've always kind of wondered, too, like, are they bringing the whole, like, you know...
I think he's Lebanese.
Yeah, are they bringing the whole, like, Doohan and Koenig thing to its sort of most ridiculous conclusion? Are they making fun of whitewashing? You know, because, it's easy to miss. And actually, I think this is the first time I've ever heard it, and I've seen this movie a bunch of times. Fred Kwan isn't his name.
Yeah, he mentions that.
He says he'll tell you my real name, so, like... I also kind of wonder, though, if it's partially also the fact that, kind of goofing on the fact that Tony Shalhoub is one of those actors who has played all sorts of ethnicities because to Hollywood he looks just ethnic enough, like him and Alfred Molina and that...
Nimoy got it a lot, too.
Really?
Yeah, apparently before Star Trek he played a lot of, like, Asian characters.
He passes for Chinese because of that rice picker incident.
But yeah, no, him, and there's that guy from... he's been in much better movies, but the guy from the Transformers films, the tall, lanky fella. I can't think of his name.
He plays Hispanic a lot. Maybe he is Hispanic. Is that who I'm thinking of? Am I thinking of the right guy?
Possibly.
He's in The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
he plays...
Like, he's even...
What's his name?
I
Even?
can't think of it.
Is it Jesus?
Oh, in the movie it's... Yeah.
Oh, John Turturro?
Yeah, John Turturro.
John
He
Turturro.
plays, like, he's, again, just ethnically vague enough.
He's a
that
chameleon.
He plays all sorts of ethnicity. So I think it was one part just Shalhoub's actual career, and, yeah, maybe the whole Doohan and Koenig thing, and again, sort of
but like
goofing
it's
on whitewashing.
Weird, like,
Yeah, I wonder if the squinting is coincidental. I wouldn't read that part into that squint.
I don't know.
But
I mean, his
it's
name
an
is
interesting theory.
Tech Sergeant Chen.
I kind of wondered that as
and
well.
He's clearly not Chinese.
Yeah. I honestly kind of wondered that as well, if the squint was meant to be sort of a racist thing, but he does it later not in character as Tech Sergeant Chen, so I think it's just something Tony Shalhoub does with his face.
I wonder if it's also a little bit that, you know, because Star Trek was meant to be a diverse cast, and, you know, they've got an African-American on the helm if they wanted to, like, have it more be diverse, but only could find white guys in World and Galaxy Quest. That... as if the show was looking specifically for
and the
more
producers were
diversity.
just lazy.
Yeah, I mean, there was also an interview I heard with Tony Shalhoub on it was like a Terry Gross interview or something with Tony Shalhoub, and he was talking about how he grew up in, you know, flyover country U.S., like Nebraska or something like that, and he was the only non-white person in his town, basically. So anytime there was a black character in the high school play, it was Tony Shalhoub playing the black character.
Oh, God.
I mean, he definitely, like, even if you say maybe he's a little ethnically ambiguous, I would not peg him for light-skinned black guy.
No, but again, I mean, if you're in the town and you literally have only, you know, white people to cast, and there's one guy that's slightly less white.
You don't have to do Othello this year, guys. Do it another time.
Although that would have been the best, probably one of the best roles he got.
Works out for him in that way.
Yeah, I think he even mentioned some of the roles that he did, and I think he might have even said Othello. I don't remember. But it was.
I mean, what else would you specifically need
Look Who's Coming.
They did the color purple.
What's that?
Not that. That's a movie. Isn't there a movie about a woman bringing her black boyfriend home to dinner?
Yeah, Look Who's Coming to Dinner.
What's the play, though? Isn't there also a play?
If there is, that's what the movie's just
Who's
based
Coming
on.
to Dinner, a racist joke that Chekhov makes in Star Trek 6.
Yes,
As we talked about last week on the show.
Yeah. So, can we also talk about the fact that Fred is, first of all, just immediately okay with everything, which is amazing.
I think that there's a comment that Sam Rockwell's character, Guy, says, like, are you high? Because he's just weird the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, but
it's
also,
amazing because it's Tony Shalhoub, but...
He is the first one we see in the film who knowingly murders someone. And he is, like, gives no fucks about it.
When he presses the button and throws them out in the airlock?
Yeah. He just does it and then makes a crack about the door being squeaky. And then he beams up the rock monster to crush all those other guys. He's like, it's
He's
the simple
giggling.
things.
Aww.
Like, Fred...
He's kind of a sociopath.
Yeah, Fred, like, is immediately like, nope, I am committing to this fully. I'm not going to worry about whether or not the air is breathable. I'm going to kill bad guys. Like, he is total... Because, like...
Did you notice also that he's snacking most of the
Yeah,
movie
he's
long?
eating most of the film. It's amazing.
There's so... Like, I watched the movie a second time to make sure I could talk about things I'd forgotten. And yeah, he's like at the snack counter when everyone's getting beamed up. He's always got something that he's munching on when he's at like the tables at conventions.
Yep.
So
it's a weird...
Totally high. A lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, because I mean, I'm sure Tim Allen probably killed some lizard men when he authorized the attack on the ship early on, but at that point he still didn't know it was real.
Yes, this is true.
By the time Tony Shalhoub, Fred, ejects those two guys into space, he knows full well what's going on, and again, he just jokes about squeaky hinges.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit also about the sort of the frame story, which is, you know, that they're the washed up actors and how they the movie basically opens and closes with a convention, which is having been to many Star Trek conventions. I have to say, they fucking nailed the atmosphere at a Star Trek convention. Like everything about like
it just looks sweaty, right?
I mean, it looks sweaty. I mean, all like the tables of memorabilia and stuff, and people wearing shitty versions of the makeup from the show. I mean, I can remember going to Star Trek conventions, and there would be like people who would have Klingon head makeup on that clearly wasn't the right size. You know, it was clearly something
just
that
didn't match their skin
and
color,
like not glued down properly, and sometimes the wrong color for their skin, and it just like it's hilarious. And yeah, I mean, they really nailed the convention, and then the character, like Justin Long's character, and the associated.
What else has Justin Long done? I know this was like his film debut.
He was the Mac in the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC ad.
Oh, wow, he grew up. Look at him.
He was in one of the Die Hards. He tends to play characters kind of like that. He's still sort of pigeonholed as like kind of nerdy.
Awkward kid.
He's still quite
so
lanky.
Cute though. I loved him. I just thought he was adorable.
Yeah, he's super young in it too. Well, looks super young.
God, how young was he?
I mean, it's Hollywood. He was probably actually 23.
Yeah, I want to say he was 20-something.
Yeah. But
I was gonna say, I don't want to be talking about, oh my god, he was adorable, and I'd be like, yeah, he was like 14. Ooh.
I mean, I'm sure the character was probably supposed to be like in high school, but again, it's Hollywood, so he was.
Well, either that or he was just going to be
45.
a basement dweller for life.
If they wanted to make it accurate, he would have been like 40, and his mother would still be bothering him to take out the garbage.
The trash!
If they just cast the mother older, because the father looked significantly older, but she looked younger, so it seemed like more of a May-December thing. Whereas if they'd both been older, you'd be like, yeah, he's 40.
Or if she's just still putting in the effort because she has to.
You know what we've probably talked about this before. You know what we have to watch for 10 Forward one of these days?
Moon.
Is
some kind of Star Trek porn.
Oh, yeah, we should watch
I think it was Trekkies. It was a documentary. I think it was released theatrically, like in the theaters, but it was a documentary hosted by Denise Crosby about Star Trek fandom. And there's it's so good. Like, nice. I can't remember if it came out before or after Galaxy Quest, but if it came out before, it was totally source material for Galaxy Quest.
Can we also watch Moon? I'm gonna watch Moon.
We can watch Moon.
Sam Rockwell's in Moon, apparently, you said.
Sam Rockwell.
I would not have recognized him because, man.
I have a good story about Moon. I haven't seen it, but Sam Rockwell gets his ass out a lot in movies. So our friend Steve saw the movie, and I asked them, I have to ask you one important question, like really serious. And they're like, oh, what's the question? And I said, do you ever see Sam Rockwell's naked ass? And they're like, yeah. Why would you ask that? And I was like, you just see his ass a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know. He just
Green
gets
Mile, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, at least a couple others.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell just gets his ass out. I feel like they offer him the movie, and he's like, okay,
His ass has his own contract.
Yeah. So this was probably...
His ass doesn't like green M&Ms.
This was probably, I was going to say actually probably the first film I saw Sam Rockwell in, but in reality, the first film I would have seen Sam Rockwell in was the first
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, yep.
But it took me years to find out that was him. This is probably the first movie I saw him in, but not the first movie I started to recognize him from.
Yeah, I would say, I wouldn't say this was his breakout role, but it definitely...
His breakout role was definitely Zaphod Beeblebrox in The New Hitchhiker's Guide.
Right. No, he was well established.
Was he Zaphod Beeblebrox?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie either.
You don't have to. That's a
He's
movie...
good in it.
That's the thing.
They do weird things with his character, but he's good in it.
That's a movie that is cast so well, but the movie itself isn't very good.
I like Sam Rockwell in this movie.
Oh, he's amazing in this. What's great about him is he is simultaneously... He's a weird mix of very self-aware and not all at the same time. There's a moment where Fred opens the door, he's like, is there air? You don't know! So he's like, this is reality, not television, but he's also
I died in episode 81!
He's hung up on the fact that he's a red shirt. And he thinks that's going to dictate reality. So he's this wonderful mix of going back and forth between, how self-aware or not he is.
Oh, there was a line that I only saw on my rewatch outside of the theater, that the girl that he's hitting on at that used circuitry store, or what the fuck were they at?
The savings.
Yeah,
they
so
were
he's trying to hit on this girl, and the line as she's walking away that you can barely hear because it's kind of to the side is, "But you live with your mother."
Oh.
And then they focus back on the main storyline. I was like, "Oh no, Guy!"
Wow, Guy Fleegman.
I have to say, I wish we could have lost him and kept Quillick.
Oh.
Sorry, Sam Rockwell.
But then we wouldn't have had the great punchline of Security Chief Rock Ingersoll, which is a wonderful name.
Yeah, I feel like they couldn't have gone with the trope of the guy you expect to die is gonna die.
I know.
The random
it
extra
made me
is gonna die.
so sad.
No, Quillick was very sweet.
I'm willing to bet there were probably early drafts where he did, but
Also, I totally ship Alan Rickman and Quillick.
that was a beautiful friendship.
no, I don't ship it because Quillick thought of him as a father.
Oh,
So-
right, that's gross.
Yeah, we don't ship it. We wish he could have had his father figure for longer in real
That's
life.
still a ship. That's a relationship. I don't know.
I guess.
Can't it be?
Ship tends to have, I
I
thought,
know.
sexual
Well, I didn't say
implications.
slash. I don't know.
And speaking
It's
of
the Love
range in actors, let's talk about the late great Alan Rickman.
I love
So
Alan
good.
Rickman.
I just read that, and I don't know if they're still doing it because I didn't go far down this rabbit hole on the internet. There's been talk about making a Galaxy Quest series, and now and then Alan Rickman died, and now they're like, we don't know if we're going forward with this.
Would the
How could
series...
you replace him? You know.
Wait. So would the series be set in the world of the film or the world of the show within the film?
I'm not certain. I would
Because
guess
if
the
they're-
latter.
It sounds
Or
like
the former. The former.
it seems to me like, other than the versus out of world situation, that probably the Orville is kind of the
Galaxy
spiritual
Quest.
successor to Galaxy Quest.
I know there is, or I don't know if it was supposed to be ongoing or a miniseries, but there was a sequel comic. And that was set in the world of the film. And it actually, from what I've read about it, actually kicks off with a different part of the universe where people are having some big blowout fight and shit gets fucked up because Tim Allen uses the Omega-13. And it was going to somehow follow up from there, and it was going to impact.
Yeah, I know there was also talk, various cast members and other production staff were in support of a sequel movie, and then others were not. I know Enrico Colantoni said, yeah, don't make a sequel to Galaxy Quest because it'll not hold up to the first one because the first one's so perfect.
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Yeah, it seems to, this seems like a great movie for there to be one of.
Yeah, you don't need...
I wish there was more, though, because I really liked it.
3 Austin Powers movies, Hell, you didn't even need 2 airplanes.
Okay, I thought you were going to say you didn't
I
need
love
2
the
Austin
Airplane, the
Powers.
sequel.
Yeah, movies that were great and didn't need a sequel were Airplane, Ghostbusters.
Oh, Ghostbusters 2 is trash.
I like Ghostbusters.
I mean, I don't mind Ghostbusters 2. I know I understand and agree with a lot of the critique of Ghostbusters 2, but I love Janosch and...
Peter McNichol is one of those guys who I think, no matter what the project itself is, he's great.
Yeah.
How about Star Wars? We didn't really need more than one, right?
I think we could have stopped after 2. Like, after Empire, they could have just stopped.
Yeah, but then we would have been left with a hanging thread.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. This had no hanging threads.
Yeah.
You know, you had, like, Taggart has learned to stop being a dick. They've got a new show. The Thermians are going to be able to fend for themselves now. Like, it's done. It's wrapped tidy. You know, if they tried to bring it back now, like, even if it was a sequel as opposed to, like, a reboot or something, the studio would be trying to figure out a way to make it part of a fucking cinematic universe, because that's
then
what
you'd
everything
always
is now.
end on some kind of a cliffhanger moment.
Yeah, post-credit sequence
Post-credit,
where,
yeah.
like, fucking... That's what it'll be. It'll be fucking... They'll make one that's supposedly a reboot, but then in the post-credit sequence, Tim Allen shows up and is like, hey, I'm Taggart. And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, I am very glad we only got one of these. It's a very excellent, singular piece.
Alright. So you wanted to geek out about
Alan Rickman, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, well, like, talk about a guy that can do pretty much
so funny.
anything. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
His straight
my
face is
first
great.
memory of Alan Rickman, but my first exposure to Alan Rickman, I think, as most people, was probably Die Hard.
I've never seen Die Hard.
You've never seen Die Hard? You should watch Die Hard.
We have to watch Die
Hard's
Hard.
Die Hard's another one of those movies that didn't need a sequel, but got several of
6.
them.
Yeah.
No, actually 5? Are there 4 now?
I
4
don't
sequels?
know.
I don't even fucking know.
Just
Well,
but
we
Die
own them,
Hard is a
so.
perfect movie. Why? Anyway, so he plays the villain in Die Hard, and he's fucking terrifying.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah, and then he's been in like he's like a villain. Like that's his main thing. And
He's got that voice.
he's got that
villain
voice, just instills fear.
Well, except he's also, but again, this does tie into the voice, but he's the Metatron in Dogma.
That's right.
So he's a good guy,
that's
but
right.
he's the voice of God, and you're like, yep, of course.
And then you have him in something like this, where he's just a fucking comic genius.
Yeah.
But still, again, leveraging his talents as
Yeah.
an actor and his, like his voice, which I think...
An expression. The expressions were good
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings. Okay, so the thing is like, I had never seen Galaxy Quest, you guys know this, until this time, which, by the way, we saw it at a fucking planetarium. There should be no other way to watch movies than at a planetarium.
Yeah,
I
the
thought it was
really
amazing.
reclined seats.
Yeah,
totally
I was
win.
skeptical about the planetarium because like the seating and the dome just doesn't seem intuitively like it would be a
Right.
good place to watch a movie, but it actually
So
worked.
great. Plus, I loved having the Starfield behind it. Like, I just kind of thought that was nice. Did you notice that? The whole room was Starfield, which I loved.
Projected a starscape.
But my friends, I have these friends who... Actually, so we crashed a birthday party, kind of, to see this movie.
We would have seen the movie no matter what.
Well, we would have. Well, that was the funny thing. It was like, my friend was like, let's go see Galaxy Quest for my birthday. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then you guys were like, hey, let's go see Galaxy Quest for the show. And I was like, oh, sweet. So it was like, it was business and pleasure. But my friend, whose birthday it was, she always says, by Grabthar's hammer, what a savings. Like, not always, but like when it's like...
In every context.
appropriate, And I don't think I even ever knew what it was from. And then to see it, I was like, oh my god, that's so good. Okay, I'm on board now.
Yeah, there's a lot of classic one-liners in this movie, such as by Grabthar's hammer.
I feel like my first exposure to Alan Rickman was probably the Harry Potter movies, but then I saw Die Hard later in life. Another film that I had seen him in is Love Actually. In this same group of friends who were at this birthday party, we watch it every year at Christmas. They love the movie, and I like it. I'd only seen it with them, so I've only seen it like twice or 3 times so far. But at any rate, during my first view, have you seen Love Actually? Have you? Has anybody seen Love Actually?
Nope.
Only you, Caitlin.
Alan Rickman, spoilers ahead for Love Actually, Alan Rickman plays a married with children feller who is like a boss at his job, and he like kind of starts an affair with this young woman who's always like trying to get into his pants. And so I had dubbed him Alan Dickman after watching this film. So I love Alan Rickman though, and I love his voice. What else was he in? He was in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
That's right. He was the judge.
Ugh.
Getting his shave on.
I think he got his sort of television and film career started kind of late. I remember reading up on him once.
Like Sidney Greenstreet.
Not quite that late, but yes. But
I feel
I think,
like by the time the voice had grown in, it's like, oh, we need to put you in things.
well, I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I feel like he'd been an actor, but I think had just been doing theater for a while. Whereas Sidney Greenstreet had been a math professor most of his life, then very late in his life suddenly became an actor.
Who's Sidney Greenstreet?
He was in Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon.
Oh, okay.
And he portrayed one of my favorite detectives, Nero Wolfe, in the Nero Wolfe radio show from the 1940s, 50s.
Again, sort of a fairly distinctive voice in his own way, but yeah. So Rickman, like I said, I think he'd been an actor for a lot of his life, but got into film and television a little later. And one of his earliest performances, you can find this clip on YouTube, is as a very chipper front desk clerk
of
a hotel. And it's like a 2-second scene, which only matters now because he has since become famous, of, oh god. It's either the miniseries version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or the miniseries version of Smiley's People. I can't remember which. But, he's relatively young and he's just very prim, has this little mustache and has like a front desk uniform of a hotel, fancy hotel kind of thing. But I think that's one of his earliest, if not his earliest, on film in any capacity appearance.
Wasn't he also in some cowboy movie?
Oh, God, Quigley Down Under. That movie's so bad.
That title sounds bad.
Yeah, no, it's just like fucking...
Oh, is that the one that's been on my dad's television, like, every time we've ever been there for the
just
last, like,
for whatever
10
reason,
years?
It's on Stars all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's like Tom Selleck is a cowboy in Australia. And actually, tying it all back, the woman who was the lead in Just Shoot Me is the love interest.
Ah.
And Alan
Maya,
Rickman...
San Giacomo or something like that?
Something like that. But yeah, Alan Rickman is like an evil rancher. It's a terrible fucking film.
I thought... that's not what I was thinking of, though. I think I was thinking of, like, City Slickers, but I don't think he's in City Slickers.
I've never seen City Slickers, so I don't know.
I think Billy Crystal is in City
Billy
Slickers,
Crystal
right?
is,
That's
yeah.
okay. That's good.
I appreciate that you never fully see Alan Rickman without the makeup in the film.
I was going to mention that, like, how of all of the cast, he's the one that seems to hate the series the most.
But he's definitely going to all the effort.
I just bet it takes so much effort to put the head on and take it off that he just leaves it on, knowing, I'm going to need it again tomorrow.
Well, that's the thing.
I'm
Like,
going to need it on.
The only time you even see his hair is when it gets ripped at the end
during the fights.
Do you think he just wears it every day?
That's what I'm wondering, because the one aspect of Star Trek convention that they didn't replicate was, like, the cast would never show up in costume.
Right.
That's true. They're always in full kit.
But these guys always show up as their characters, evidently, which is a little funny. But it works because then you get the fact that Alan Rickman never not wears his prosthetics makeup.
Yeah. Which, I mean, considering during the convention years he's doing it on his own, his character is very good at makeup.
Yeah, that's the thing. He hates it so much. Like, he's, as we also talked about, like, how Walter Koenig is kind of portrayed in the Futurama episode that we watched. He sort of comes off also as having hated the show, and I feel like that's how Alan Rickman is playing, or how his character is written, is like he's definitely the most vocal about hating it, and yet...
But you know what it is? It's because at the end of the day, he's the most serious actor.
Right.
5 curtain calls!
I loved the fucking moment when he's like, there's nothing you can say to make me stay, and Tim Allen is like, the show must go on. Damn you!
Oh, God,
It's so good. Because it's that serious actor thing, and it's so good.
Oh, God.
Oh, who else was even in this
Weaver.
movie? Sigourney Weaver.
And her tits.
Oh my God, Sigourney, zip your fucking shirt. We get you have awesome tits, but zip your fucking shirt.
Oh, but it's so funny.
Well, that was the joke.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it was her fault.
Yeah, almost, but like... almost unrecognizable as Sigourney Weaver, physically speaking, I feel like.
I never think of Sigourney Weaver as having big cleavage.
Right, like, because she always plays, like, such a strong, like a woman. If that makes any sense.
Why did you just say that like B. Arthur?
I don't know. Like, you always just, like, it's like her character on the show is the anti-Sigourney Weaver character. right? Because she's like the woman who has no purpose other than to repeat the computer.
We needed a woman on deck, but don't actually give her any power.
And her tits are always out.
Yeah.
They looked great. I mean...
Oh, yeah, perfect.
I'm not complaining about the tits.
I also never, it's jarring to see Sigourney Weaver as a blonde, I think.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It was weird.
It's still... I've seen the movie a bunch of times. It's still weird.
Well, because I remember you had said that Sigourney Weaver was in it, and I was like, where is she? And then I was like, holy shit, that's bizarre.
Yeah, I grew up on Ghostbusters, so I'm used to her from that.
Yeah.
And again, Alien and Aliens.
Oh, so she wasn't wearing the negligee, so you were really confused. She's blonde and she's wearing opaque clothing.
She's gonna be the main villain in The Defenders, apparently.
Apparently, when they were doing casting for the show, they really only wanted sci-fi noobs.
Huh.
But they made it but Sigourney loved the script so much that she just insisted no, I have to be in this movie. It's so good and I want to be in it.
And she was also flips open shirt. Look at these tits.
Well, and again, I think it helps that like Jake said, it's the character is the anti-Sigourney Weaver, which it still works because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently the original director, they were originally supposed to have Harold Ramis directing.
Oh, wow.
But he had a lot of ideas of who should play... What's his fucking name again?
Taggart?
Yeah, Jason Nesmith / Taggart.
He would have just cast Bill Murray.
He was going to cast Alec Baldwin.
Really?
He was going to cast Alec Baldwin. He also looked into Steve Martin and Kevin Kline.
Wouldn't Steve Martin have been a little too old?
Well, Steve Martin just always looks like that.
He looks old.
Yeah.
He's had gray hair
even as a young man, he looks like that.
That's true.
But all of those people couldn't do it. They finally settled on Tim Allen, and I guess Ramis disagreed and left, but realized later, okay, yeah, he did a great job. But he did a great job, so...
Although, being fair, he also wasn't a sci-fi noob, because he'd already been Buzz Lightyear by then.
That's true.
Wait, so I was actually going to ask
Toy Story come out?
I thought Toy Story was 96.
Oh, I don't remember.
No, the
how
first
time.
Toy Story
not
was
96. It couldn't have been that early.
It was pretty early. It was 90. It was 96 or 97, maybe.
Yeah.
This was 99, so
Holy shit, was it really that
Christmas
early?
The
99.
first Toy Story was in the mid-90s.
Holy shit, can we stop for a second and talk about how fucking good the animation was in that movie? 1990.
95.
Damn, Toy Story.
Can we also talk about the fact that fucking Hoodwinked, which came out 10 years later, was 80% worse?
It's fucking amazing.
So then, because the reason why I was wondering about the chain of events is because he is, was it Jason Nesmith, and then in Toy Story he's Mrs. Nesbit. So I was wondering, one, if it was intentional, two, what the chain of what the actual chronology was, but I'm guessing it's not actually related.
We'd have to see.
It is a fun coincidence.
We'd have to see if versions of the script before he was cast had a different last name for Jason.
The other thing too is Tim Allen in general is another one of those surprisingly it worked kind of castings.
Yeah, he actually
He's got the bravado.
He also there's a few scenes where he has to actually act, and it turns out he can act.
There were a couple of those moments I was less a fan. The scene in the bathroom where he's being badmouthed by other people at the convention. Just oh man, what a bunch of losers. Did you see Nesmith and how fucking lame he is? And it's sad for all of 2 seconds, and then they launch into the comedy for the next 2 hours. It was this scene doesn't seem to have the effect that I want it to. This is one of very, very few gripes I have about the movie, because the movie as a whole is fucking perfect. But it's just the drama moments, aside from Quellig's death, this one didn't have the effect I thought.
Well, because it was completely unrealistic. That's not how. I don't feel like a conversation like that would ever take place like that.
Yeah.
Because what were those two kids even doing there? They weren't in costume.
Maybe they were the staff of the convention hall.
Okay, I accept that.
And they were there to clean up or something.
But the staff was probably also...
No, because, I don't know, because when they're on their way out, they're oh man, we gotta go. The Galaxy Quest dancers are gonna be on soon.
Oh, well, that's why they're there then. They're there to see some fan dance.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like they wouldn't be
Someone call Uhura.
Hey.
Seems like people wouldn't be loudly making fun of the convention. They had 3 guys in full costume taking a piss right next to them.
They're assholes.
True.
It just seemed weird. Fan dance, like in that Futurama episode that's referencing Star Trek V, which we have also watched.
We watched a couple weeks ago, yeah, that's right.
Should we just explain what's going on with
No.
these two?
No, what are you talking about?
There's no
Leave it in, it's great.
Yeah, now, I would say, so the main cast there, very good. The one character that I really thought they handled not well, and this might be my personal opinion, is the token black guy.
I thought the same thing.
Because there was a lot of like tropey black guy
Goofy
things,
black
like
guy.
woo and damn. And, I don't know if he ever said damn, but it was
still
like
the 90s, you know.
Yeah.
But
when he broke his arm and they're carrying him off and he's doing nothing but the high pitched squealing.
He's doing like
it was like they said there's like
Chris Tucker.
I was gonna say it was like Chris Tucker in Rush Hour. I was like just thinking about.
I was gonna say, have you seen The Fifth Element? Can you do that?
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I think that in Fifth Element, Chris Tucker's character is very much... I don't look at him as being, like, doing black guy stuff.
No,
like,
that's true.
It's more like just he's a really eccentric character.
True.
But
it sounds
definitely
like that's kind of what...
Chris Tucker in Rush
Hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of that. Like, damn! Stuff.
And
which is a Chris Tucker special. I mean,
and I'm sure, like, when the movie was made, that was totally a thing that was fine. But I feel like... looking at that in the present day, we're like, ooh, that's dated comedy.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like even if they made it now, they would still do that. Like, whereas
like tone it down like a scotch,
little,
I
maybe,
think.
yeah.
Like,
I feel like
screaming.
Yeah, like we were talking earlier about we're not sure.
Think about Leslie Jones's treatment though in Ghostbusters. She wasn't saying "damn," but she was.
Yeah,
I didn't see it. All I saw was the ads, and the ads made it look a lot like that.
That's what I mean. So that's why I'm saying.
They
like,
were
I don't think.
Hell no.
Yeah, like I feel like
that was representative of the
and I think that's like to the point. Like, they probably would have done it very similarly today.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and I don't think whereas it's a little up in the air about what the hell was going on with Tony Shalhoub's character. Like, I don't think this guy was meant to be a parody of the sort of treatment of the token black actor. I think he was just, unfortunately, the token black actor and treated as such.
I sort of wondered if it was... So I was thinking a little bit of Gary Coleman a little bit, just because Gary Coleman was like a black child actor. And I just didn't know if... I could be stretching.
I think they missed an opportunity in the story with the fact that he was the child actor on the show.
Yeah.
And having him now an adult in the present day of the movie, I think there weren't any jokes really. The only joke around that was when they first meet the Thermies. You've grown so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, to his credit, he clearly escaped the child actor curse. I mean, he's not doing anything, but he's also not in prison.
This is true.
Any other,
or a big douchebag. He seemed like he was actually pretty good.
Or on drugs. Yeah, his only problem was with Tim Allen, and that's fair, because Tim Allen's an asshole.
When we were watching the movie, I was like, why do I know this actor? Why do I know this actor? Why do I know this actor?
Daryl Mitchell?
Yeah. And I answered my question immediately after. It was in the car on the way home. And I was like, holy shit! He was a teacher, an English teacher in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Ah.
And that's what I recognized him from. And the reason why I remembered what I knew him from was because suddenly there was a blooper reel at the end of 10 Things I Hate About You. And suddenly his part in the blooper reel came up in my head. And I was like, holy shit, he was in 10 Things I Hate About You. But then Chris looked him up. And the poor guy was in a car accident in 2001, and he's paralyzed from the waist down.
Oh, that sucks.
But he's acting again. You said, what's he in nowadays?
He's in one of the many, many NCISs as, a computer expert.
But that's why he sort of...
disappeared for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, because, all of the other characters in the movie, all the other main actors in the movie they pretty much were all established actors. Sam Rockwell on the cusp, I would say, but the rest of them were all...
Well, he's definitely blown up by now, too.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell's a superstar now. But the rest of them all were established actors when they made the movie.
Yeah.
Except for him.
Yeah, he was...
which I thought was interesting.
Oh, but in answer to your earlier sort of statement, Caitlin, he's also obviously to a certain extent just... even though a lot of this was parodying the original series, he was clearly a little bit of a TNG nod, because there's obviously a Wesley Crusher thing going on with him.
The boy
he's young,
genius.
he's the pilot. He, in his own head, came up with how everything worked.
Yeah.
Because that is something Wheaton said he did.
They did that on TOS, too. Some of the designers of the sets and stuff, came up with that whole fucking Bible of, this is what every single button does. I think in one episode of something or other, a new director came in and said, Takei, I want you to press that button to do such and such. And he said, I can't do that. I will not do that. I will walk. Because that button blows up the ship.
Well, I guess there was less... Because I read an interview with Wheaton once, and he was saying, there was less specific instruction in TNG. So he's saying on that he kind of came up in his own head what everything did and tried to stick to that as much as he could.
How could they possibly have dictated what all those buttons do? Like there are so many more buttons.
Yeah.
Not the buttons, but like touchscreens and stuff.
It's all very...
And I loved that in Galaxy Quest that's what they did was they watched so carefully to see like how that the ship was literally built to work exactly the way they had like shown it
including
working.
the stupid crushers.
Well, and like not to oh yeah. Whoever wrote this episode should die. Oh, no.
And the countdown stopping at 0 no matter when you actually hit the button. One rather.
That was such a great thing because the ship never blows up on the TV series. It was like, that's great. I loved that.
At 1 on the show.
I loved that. There was so much that was so good.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch
it. The transporters are only made for human life. Like, we've never gotten to work because it's only made for you guys.
It worked with the rock monster.
That weird pig thing.
Yeah.
Well, because if you turn a rock inside out, it's still just a rock, isn't it?
Well, you don't know.
But it is inside out. Inside out. And it exploded.
That guy was somebody too, wasn't he?
He looked very familiar.
Oh, and Kevin from Kids in the Hall showed up at the
Yeah.
last bit.
He was a good
me
button
smile.
for the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a very short cameo. But like some of the lines that he says off screen as he's introducing the cast coming off the ship is great.
Give him a big hand. He's British.
And,
another shipmate.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell walks up.
The more the merrier.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, that was good. I wonder if those were ad-libbed.
I hope so too.
Kevin McDonald, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the almighty tallest in Invader Zim. Yeah, I was thinking, I meant to say this earlier, Andrew, you were talking about people they were looking at before Tim Allen. What would have been interesting about Alec Baldwin is...
He's wonderful.
Attractive.
At that
He is very pretty.
point, though, his career actually was kind of in a slump.
In the
So
1990s.
late
areas.
90s. Like, the late 90s, early 2000s, he really wasn't doing anything.
Except probably calling his daughter a fat pig on the phone or something.
No, that was after he got famous again.
Oh,
But yeah, like, so it would have been a little metatextual there, because he actually would have been in the midst of a bit of a career slowdown. Whereas Tim Allen was either just in or just off of Home Improvement.
That's a good show. When are we going to do a Home Improvement podcast?
It's not a good show.
Show.
Oh, I liked it. I remember
if
liking it.
you just like did a supercut of all of the Tool Time segments from Home Improvement, that might be good.
I think there's a Tool Time porn. There definitely
Obviously.
is.
Sure there is.
There definitely
What was the
is.
girl's name? Heidi? Yes, there was a Tool Time porn.
Yeah, she was hot.
And plus it was called Tool Time.
Oh. Okay, did we want to jump right to tentacle porn, or was there something else we wanted to talk about?
I always want to jump right to tentacle porn.
Because my
when
vote
it's
is
an
tentacle
option.
porn.
Well, we've hit everyone except Saris as far as the main cast
Okay.
goes.
He also kind of has tentacles. No, he doesn't. He's a bug.
Yeah.
Tentacle porn.
He does have that weird... Is that his head or a hat that
I
he has?
assume
with
it's
like,
his head.
Like,
the weird crab
the
legs.
feelers on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he is a wonderfully creepy design.
He is a nice
you
show.
feel like he's a lizard and a bug, and he's just all these sort of
Oh, I just felt like he was a bug.
traditionally things.
He kind of looked like a turtle to me. I thought he was
I thought it was a grasshopper.
Yeah, I would say
grasshopper.
probably more of the bug family for sure, something like that.
I did like that, he did get fucked up by Tim Allen's attack.
The first one?
Because when we first see him, he's got two eyes. When we see him from there on out,
didn't
he's got the
even
plate
notice
over
that.
Oh, I didn't notice
and
that
his
either.
lips all cut up.
Oh,
Yeah, his
snap.
face is fully intact. Tim Allen does fuck him up a little.
Yeah, because I know, I know they did sustain damage, and that's why he killed his first lieutenant.
Yeah.
Whoops, sorry, guy. I like how they got around all of his crew not having to do the crazy CG head on by just having them wear like some kind of helmet-looking thing with spaghetti on it.
Well, I had a question actually, kind of, which was, since they were using translators for everybody, was his mouth movement a little off? And was that on purpose, or was his mouth movement just off because, like, their animatronic or whatever they were using wasn't great?
Probably the animatronics.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Because all the Thermians' mouths moved fine.
Because they were people.
Yeah, but if they were going to if that was on purpose, they would have bothered to,
Yeah.
do
And
something.
when Missy Pyle's translator was broken,
Yeah. She just made those
she
noises.
just made a noise and her mouth just opened.
That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, that sound. But yeah, I know Saris' actor was mostly a voice actor, right?
Yeah,
So I looked up the other
Robin
day.
Sachs.
Yeah.
He did a lot of Mass Effect. He did a lot of video games, it sounds like.
The other not main character we should probably bring up is someone who later came to some renown and is playing Mud on Discovery.
Rainn
Oh god,
Wilson.
Rainn Wilson.
I didn't make that connection.
Rainn Wilson played one of the Thermians, one of the background. He had a line or two.
He got to hug Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, he's one of the engineers.
Yeah, that was something I wanted. Going back to Tony Shalhoub for just a second.
Please do. Love him.
I was wondering if maybe in your research you found anything about him not being able to shoot, like shooting schedule conflicts. Because one thing I noticed is that he is not in a lot of the movie. Like,
he's an engineer.
He's an
It's
engineering.
like how Scotty's rarely around because he's an engineer.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just felt like it was weird that there's many scenes when he's just not there. I feel like for an ensemble movie, he would have been there more.
At least they had him on the away team.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of the having him in engineering might have just been a device to work around his shooting schedule. Or something.
I feel like that it worked into the plot.
I think it
though.
worked.
They would have had to know the plot before they knew his schedule or something.
Yeah, but they
to work
could have
like
just
that.
had him deliver those lines on the bridge. Like there was no reason for him to be in engineering.
I don't know, it was kind of more fun to like show him in engineering being completely incompetent and not knowing what he was doing.
Yeah,
Like,
well, everything in the background is people
you guys
falling
got it
down.
right again. Good job.
Group hug.
He's so cute. I adore Tony Shalhoub.
So did
Lily
Kyle. Liliara.
And I loved when the whole crew was on board and they all were like repeating their names and like being really excited. Like I just thought it was so cute. Oh. I just really love Enrico Colantoni. That's what it really is. And so this was a treat. It was a treat for the eyes and the heart.
Yeah. So what's great is, you're like, oh yeah, so Tony Shalhoub doesn't know they're squid monsters. Because when they come in squid form, he's still back on Earth buying snacks.
That's right. I was like, why is Tony Shalhoub into this? I was like, doesn't he know what she looks like? And Chris is like, nope. He was still on the planet when they were accidentally out of their skin suits.
He doesn't beam in until they've got their holograms back on.
Didn't he see Mathazar getting tortured?
Not Mathazar, the other one, the previous one.
I mean, that too. But Mathazar, when he got tortured, he blipped into
That's true,
his
that's
other
true.
form a couple of times.
But I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't care. So
I mean, it's fucking hot.
I have to mention one of my favorite
It's fucking
jokes.
hot. Shut up. It's making out with
One
Tony
of my favorite
Shalhoub.
jokes that we didn't mention already is the scene when they're having the dinner and everyone's got like the best food and they're like, oh yeah, we created food for native to your home planets, and Alan Rickman has a plate of bugs.
You notice Chief Engineer Chen had his Chinese food of some kind?
Oh, did he?
He did. He was using chopsticks.
Further evidence.
Shit, that's
further
so
evidence
good.
towards my theory.
what's actually really kind of a really subtle one, but is also just really clever on the part of the producers or director, I don't know. Because Laredo, was a kid originally, so he's just got hot dogs and French fries.
Oh, I didn't notice
Which
that
must
one.
suck. Tim Allen's there with this big steak, and he's got fucking probably not even good hot dogs. They're probably like
I'm sure they're good hot
boiled
dogs.
fucking.
Oh, do you notice also where I wonder if this was a subtle nod to Captain Kirk? Was that he said that we made you, the Thermians said, we made you stuff native to your homeland, and Tim Allen was like, this is like Iowa beef.
Maybe.
Yep.
I thought so. In Star Trek VI, when they're having dinner, they're eating this sort of unpleasant-looking pasta.
Yeah.
And at one point, Sam Rockwell eats some sort of unpleasant-looking pasta and immediately gags.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, and the audio commentary for the movie.
For Galaxy
or
Quest
Star
or
Trek
for
VI?
Star Trek 6. It's either audio commentary or one of the documentaries. They talk about the fact that Nicholas Meyer offered the actors a bonus if they actually ate. Because, like, often you don't see eating in...
Yeah, we know this, Chris. You told us this last week. Come on, buddy.
Slipping.
And so that's why there's always these awkward, not quite eating scenes in movies. But
Yeah.
I think the only one that took him up on it was Shatner. Because I think he's the only one actually
Shatner,
Well,
I feel
he
like
fucking
will
always
eat
wants
anything.
seconds and thirds of fat.
I mean,
fuck.
I remember I think it was Corbomite Maneuver 1.5 million years ago. He just mowed down on those food cubes.
I wonder what those were made of. Did you ever read that?
Weren't they like melon or something?
Yeah, I'm
Did
sure
we
they
decide
were fruit, like various cantaloupe and stuff like that.
But yeah,
Probably
back to the
honeydew.
That's what I would
feel like
think.
They're
honeydew
made
would
out of the
probably take
material
color
that wax
better.
lips are made out of.
So see, Ames, I didn't realize. Yes, making out with Tony Shalhoub, I'm sure, is hot. I thought you meant the tentacle porn was hot.
The tentacle porn was alright.
Yeah, it looked good. He made it look good. And
love
she made it look good too.
The
So
look
there
of
you go.
surprise and then the like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I was like, good for you. Get it.
You gotta feel this poor woman, though. She eventually goes back to Earth, and like now she must understand how it all works, though. She's on the show.
Yeah,
Like, how did she take that?
But here's the thing. I think I think the whole idea of them is they're extremely competent engineers, but they have no sense of. So my point is, I don't think that the Thermians have the wherewithal to realize, even when they're confronted with the truth of what things are, because it wouldn't have been very hard for them to look at Earth and reason that. Yeah, this is not the headquarter planet of the space exploration agency or whatever it was.
Yeah, they clearly don't have this technology.
Yeah.
I don't know, she could be just blinded by her love for Fred Kwan.
Maybe he has to explain they have to recreate the historical documents for transmission or something. I don't know. She must wonder, like, why didn't you just have a proper ship? One little touch that was kind of nice is that Alan Rickman's makeup in the opening credits for The Journey Continues, or whatever they called it, is a little bit more detailed. Like, there's a bit more, the purple's a little richer, and there's a bit more gradient sort of going on. So, like, they've got a bit more
because
budget
it's
now.
supposed to be 13 or so years later.
Yeah, and they've got a little more money, and and he's not doing it himself.
So while I adore the love between Fred Kwan and Liliari, I thought the weird romance between Jason and Gwen was just unnecessary.
Yeah, it never.
Yeah, that kind of comes out of.
I feel like there was more to it, and then they had to cut back.
Yeah.
And they kept moments, and it's like, why?
Yeah, like, you feel like there's an implication of there's a specific 13 seconds he'd like to take back when he says long enough to fix a single mistake.
I didn't think of that.
Because the way he looks at it when he says it, like, okay, something happened specifically
Yeah.
that we don't know what it is.
He peed on her.
Hi, kitten.
Oh, that's a little black cat.
Hi,
Hey,
black
buddy.
cat.
Yes.
Hi, baby.
He's more like one of those critters on that sand dune planet that attacks with
God.
their rows of teeth.
Those things.
Oh, they were cute.
That Sam Rockwell called that, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're gonna get ugly and dangerous. There's gonna be a million of them.
Let's get out of here before one of those things kills Guy.
That's a great line.
That's the one of my
Like,
favorite lines.
even they're into it now.
They know that he's the expendable one.
All right,
Yeah.
are we at the point where I can go into...
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to point out an error
Okay.
in this film, and this is not joking, I'm going to come out of character for a minute to say this. This has literally bothered me since the first time I saw this movie.
Almost 20 years then.
Almost 20 years
Holy shit, I can't wait to
having
hear
seen
what
this
it is.
movie. This bothers me every fucking time, and I can't get over it. And it ruins a good joke in the movie for me.
Oh.
And that is when they are leaving the space dock, and they lose, and he's not steering the ship, and it screeches along the side. When they show it screeching along the side, it's the nose of the ship. It's the front of the ship.
Yep.
But then when it leaves the space dock, there's some weird M.C. Escher nonsense going on because there's giant wings on the ship.
Yeah, the nacelles
They
are fine.
couldn't be scratching the nose in the way that they show with the giant wings. The giant wings would have been crushed against. And
I kept assuming it was the wings that was scraping.
no,
but it
it's
was
the
the
nose because they even show
Yeah, the
there's
nose is like-
there's a skid mark across the front of the ship.
Partly pulled the name off.
So
Yeah, I've always kind of wondered about that.
that's like one of those. It's one of those like movie details that always bothers me, and like not either other people notice them and it doesn't bother them, or I've looked at it at many different angles, and like people would be like,
doesn't work.
Like they were at a certain weird angle, but when you actually look at the ship emerging from the space dock, it clearly does not work. So. Shame on
Yeah, because
them.
that wing would take out the whole side. Because the wing is extending further.
Well,
than
Or
the
the
nose.
Actually,
side would take out the whole wing.
Maybe it did, right? Because later in the film, Enrico...
Laredo killed all those people?
I think so. Because he mentions, we're all that's left. And I'm thinking, what about all those people who are back on the space dock? And you're like, oh,
Well, I'm guessing Sarah's killed them too.
maybe.
That's what I figured too. I figured that like Saris was like, oh, I blew up your...
Well, it's also possible that by... he just says we. He didn't necessarily specify just the we on the ship. There are, which I always kind of assumed. I realized they never say it in the film, but their little space dock is built into the remains of a planet. I always assumed it was their homeworld.
Maybe.
Like Saris had fucked it up, and that's why they had this partial planet they had built their space dock into.
But that's one of the I realized that there's certain things like movie details.
Yeah.
That either other people recognize them or they don't acknowledge them, but for whatever reason, I always get hung up on like weird little fucking details. One, I think I've talked to you about it before, Chris, and I've mentioned it to people, and nobody has seen it. But it's another thing. From the first time I ever saw this movie, I always noticed this weird thing that happens. And maybe our listeners can confirm this, or they can look it up on some YouTube. But I swear to God, when Darth Maul activates his two-bladed lightsaber...
Oh, yeah, you've shown me this.
The two-bladed lightsaber handle gets longer when he turns on the second blade.
Yeah.
If you watch fucking when he walks in and that when that starts, he turns on he holds out his lightsaber, his two-handed lightsaber, and it's it's unit length.
So he's a grower, not a shower. What's
and
the
he
problem?
turns on the thing, and then he turns on the second side, and you're like, holy fuck, the thing's got two sides. But when he turns on the second side, the fucking thing gets longer. The handle gets longer by like an inch or two.
Yeah, no, Jake showed me the clip. It does happen. And now I will never unsee it.
I think I'm the only person that's ever noticed it. Because I even looked it up on like Google, like, why did this happen? Because I'm sure it's like something to do with the VFX for whatever
something,
reason.
or just
Lucas. It goes from being a
one-handed weapon to a two-handed weapon.
They can two-handed a normal lightsaber, but you
from
need...
a sword to a sai.
Yeah.
Well, his was already...
the
thing is, his was already extra long.
Yeah, no, it is clearly a visual glitch.
Yeah, something
it's
went
not
funky.
an intentional thing that it did. It was like it's a glitch in the visual effect. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I would be sad that I'll never unsee that, but my watching episode 1 days are long behind me, so I can live with it.
Fair enough.
Music's good, though.
But yeah, Galaxy Quest. The classic issue of, oh shit, our dilithium is broken.
Yep.
That was great.
That was nice.
Yeah, what are the odds that the thing that they obviously made up for the show was an actual thing that can power a spaceship?
Yeah, that's a good
pretty
point.
high.
Also, the sort of abandoned mining station felt very TOS.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Everything's
the bit with Tim Allen rolling, like doing the
roll, losing his
Why are you
shirt.
doing that? It worked.
I see you managed to get your shirt off again.
I like that.
Definitely throwbacks to Kirk.
But hey, that means Tim Allen did his own stunts.
It's true.
Or Jason Nesmith did his own stunts.
Yeah.
I mean, there
That's
were
true. I don't
certain
think
things
William
that
Shatner would have ever done a role on his own.
Shatner
He'd
did a
eat a
lot
roll
of
on his
kicks.
He did some jelly rolls.
The only thing they could have done to make it better was to work in a two-handed shoulder chop
Nice judo chop.
to take somebody down.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised
nobody
they
had a Vulcan neck pinch. You would have thought that Alan Rickman's character might have had a...
He had the super strength to try to pull the door open.
They
had
the strength
the
chant and the stealth maneuver. It was like his species was a weird mix of like Vulcan and Klingon.
Yeah.
Like it seems like, especially like the kind of food that he eats, certainly. These little fucking CGI ticks.
You know what I thought? Considering they built up the Omega-13 so much, the scene where we finally see it used, I felt like it was like super fast. It almost felt a little bit...
A little abrupt.
A little like a letdown.
Yeah.
It goes back 13 seconds, so, he walks in, kills everybody, flip it back, goes back 13 seconds and fix it. And it's like, yeah, but even in it didn't feel like so bad that everybody got killed. It didn't feel like a big climactic moment at that point anymore.
Well, because you didn't have time to let it sink in.
Yeah.
You had to get it to 13 seconds.
I will say, you know what I do love about that scene, though? You don't see Guy get it. Everyone else you watch get injured or killed. The one time they cut to him, he's like freaking out, but we don't see him get shot in that scene.
And that's why because...
It is possible that even before Tim Allen reversed time, Guy did not get killed.
Now, do you think there were any off-screen, unshown, intermediate attempts to avert the disaster? Like, how many times do you think he activated the Omega-13 before he got it perfect?
He didn't even really get it perfect that time, because the fucking bug monster still, lived.
That's true. Yeah, as soon as they had the thing with where they were... Sigourney Weaver and Tim Allen were talking to Justin Long And he was like, "Oh, what does the omega-13 do?" And Justin was like, "Oh, well, it is some people theorize."
I'm glad he has your nerd voice.
Like, you knew that it was going to be that.
Oh, yeah, especially in a comedy. Like, obviously, it's going to be the good one.
Yes.
I read a bunch of reactions to the movie by the Star Trek cast and crew who went and saw it. Patrick Stewart apparently got goaded into seeing it by Jonathan Frakes, which is the most adorable thing ever. But a couple of them all gave major props to say, like, it is so great that it's the fans that help them out and that save the day, and that's adorable.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that when we watched it. It's a really interesting... The whole thing also serves as a really interesting commentary on sort of fandom. And that, like, it's all the sort of the... For all the people sort of make fun of it and the geeky aspects and the conventions and this and that, like, the fact that there is a positive aspect to it that a lot of people sort of ignore. I mean, the Thermians build their entire culture around it, and that sort of saves them. Not just because they bring them in later to help them and sort of show them things, but, like, he even said their culture was collapsing until they got this show, and it sort of helped them give themselves a backbone to their rebuilt society.
They're squids. They don't have backbones.
Good point.
Hey!
Oh, God, Gilligan's Island, yeah. Best joke.
Surely you don't think Gilligan's Island is real.
But yeah, no, I thought that watching it, like, because I'd forgotten that aspect of it, that in a way it's sort of for all that it's sort of an affectionate parody of the original series, it's also making a case for the fact that there is a big positive aspect to being really into something.
Yeah. Although I don't think their Roman candles did fucking anything at the end.
No, it was just so he could be confusing his parents with an armful of fireworks.
Also, that ship fucking crashed, and there would have been a lot of fucking questions.
Yeah. No one, like, that's what I was
But
thinking.
nope, instead they just give him a TV show.
Like, the government must have just been like, interesting.
Cover it up! Cover it up!
Quick! But maybe the Men in Black came, vaporized everybody's memory of that incident, and that's why they gave him another TV show.
Caitlin solved it.
This
There we go.
is
It's set in the same universe.
It's set in the
See?
Men in Black
Galaxy
cinematic
Quest
universe.
2, Men in Black 4. Huh?
I'd ship it.
I mean, there actually... I think it has since died,
Stop.
but there was
No.
actual
No.
discussion
No.
of bringing Men in Black and the 21 Jump Street movies into the same universe.
I don't know much about 21 Jump Street.
It's there's been 2 of them so far. It's Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill.
Okay.
And it's based on a TV show, and the whole premise was they took cops who looked really young and had them infiltrate, like, high school and shit to deal with high school crimes.
That has anything to do with Men in Black how?
So they were going to have the 2 policemen from the 21 Jump Street movies, like, somehow cross over with Men in Black.
Become Men in Black?
Yeah. Possibly.
It's a comedy about policemen in a school.
Yeah.
Combine it with a comedy about
aliens.
government covering up aliens.
So there we go. So the Jump Street movies, Men in Black, Galaxy Quest. We are
Gilligan's
building
Island.
Gilligan's Island.
Done.
Oh, man.
Well,
Why?
no, because
Wait, how is
Gilligan's
there...
Island is a show in that universe.
Yeah. Was there anything else?
I loved it a lot.
Yeah, no, I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I'm glad it not only held up, I think it's probably better than I remembered, which is pleasant to say.
I really want to watch it again.
Oh,
Like,
I know a
really,
thing.
really
I know a
loved
thing
it.
that'll get us out of here, and hopefully we don't talk about too long, because I know Jake wanted to bring up. So we saw this, in a planetarium in a theater setting, and people applaud at the screen.
Yeah.
It pisses
Can
Jake
we talk
off.
about this? Can we talk about this?
Has Larry David ever talked about this on the show? Because I feel like this would drive him
This
crazy,
is Jake
too.
turning into Larry
I don't
David
know.
incrementally.
I have a
daily.
feeling, though, that this is a repeat of a conversation we had when we talked about Star Trek 2, because I'm sure that's going to happen when we see when we saw Star Trek 2 in the movie theater. But here's the thing.
I plan to have retroactively clapped for Wrath of Khan.
I'm sure people will have clapped when we saw that. I'm sure I will remember
What
done
verb
that.
tense is this?
Remember, I've done that.
This is
That-
like that.
Jake has had a strong...
Future past preterite.
I mean, there's that whole section in either the first or second Hitchhiker's Guidebook where they have to talk about how complex some verb forms, the complexity of verb forms they've had to create because of time travel. I think it's the second one because it comes up with relation to the guy that is temporarily dead for tax purposes, and that's like the universe. No, restaurant at the end of the universe, rather. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but it's a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Who are you clapping? Who are you applauding?
I applaud
The projectionist.
The projectionist? Please. Please, this isn't fucking.
And our MC, the MC was really nice.
They were playing.
There were 2 MCs.
But in a movie theater, like this was a special at the planetarium.
Yeah.
Like at a movie theater, there isn't an MC.
The projectionist.
They were playing. The projectionist pressed play on the DVD player. Okay, this wasn't like someone was up there cutting reels together and looking for the fucking
dropping hot beats.
And like literally, when we got there, you could even see they had just paused a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So I refuse to clap at movies.
I know you do.
You will not see me clap at a movie.
You scowl a lot.
I will fold my arms in protest of the movie clapping.
And shout, nope!
Even if he enjoys the movie.
Oh, yeah. Especially if I enjoy the movie.
I mean, I suppose if I was at... Like, I don't get it in, like, just normal circumstances. I would understand if I was, like, at a premiere and I knew people involved in the creation were there, then sure.
Do that.
But, yeah, like... And again, even like I said, with the thing we were at, or like Ames said rather, like, yeah, all right, there was some staff there and they were very nice, so it's for them, say. But, yeah, I was at, like, I remember at episode 3, people fucking applauding that.
Oh, yeah, when the goddamn... A long time ago in a faraway galaxy. Woo! Yeah! Fuck yeah!
Oh no, Jake.
Wow.
Gonna have to turn that down.
People do that at Star Wars because they're fucking. Oh my god! Darth Vader! But like,
but are they
literally me at every Star Wars movie I've ever seen?
Yes.
That's a really
I mean, the lesson here is that, save when it's a special presentation at a movie theater like we saw, Star Trek fans just have more dignity. When the movie's new, we don't clap for it.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure people clap for it.
People do. And here's another thing about that happened at the planetarium that I was none too pleased with.
No.
Before the movie, when we were still waiting in the lobby, a guy comes out and says, "The doors will be opening momentarily." And people clapped! People were like, yeah! Fucking doors! Who claps at that?
I don't know, my fat ass was ready to sit down.
I want to sit down and start clapping for applause! Society, there's 2 things that we as a society have fucked up.
Just 2?
Well, there's 2 in particular that I'm thinking of.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Of the things, here are 2.
Of all of the things wrong with society, here are 2 of them.
Donald Trump.
Clapping too much. Mm-hmm. We are far too quick to clap.
Okay.
The clapping has got to stop. Stop it! And the second thing...
I woo.
And the second thing is... Fuck, now you made me not think of it. Shit. Oh! Hugging. Everyone's got to be hugging now.
I'd agree with that.
Too much hugging.
Too much hugging.
Too much. I'm saying, like, it's one thing. I'm saying goodbye to you for years. You're moving to Venezuela. Fucking give me a hug. But now it's like a casual goodbye has to involve a hug. I'm going to see you next week. Give me a hug. Fuck that. Fuck that. And I'm the rude one for being like, yeah, I need to hug.
I feel like we hug goodbye sometimes. Now.
Yeah, and I hate it every time.
Okay. Noted.
So yeah, the hugging, and whatever. It's what we're doing as a society now. We're a hug-based society, and that's just a fact.
Hugs are like quatloos now.
I do often make fun of how overly puritanical this country still can be, but I got to admit, would have been okay if we'd still kept the hugging at more of a distance, less frequent.
I would be
more drinking before noon on Sundays, less hugging.
I would be more comfortable with
touching dicks.
I was gonna say
kiss on the cheek.
I would say the kiss on the cheek.
Oh no, I wouldn't like that.
That's better for me. I don't know, because that's just like a
See, you say that because people wouldn't want to do it with you because you usually have a beard.
I think they'd want to do it more.
It's a really soft.
No, I was gonna say I would get in there and rub my face against that magnificence.
But I don't know, because I feel like a hug. There's an intimacy with a hug. Mm. Your bodies are pressed together.
Yeah. Tit on tit action.
Tit to tit.
It can't get uncomfortable.
Well, you do a lean out.
You stick your bum out while you hug another man.
Exactly.
And then someone can tap that bum from behind.
Which actually brings us back around.
Does it?
It didn't occur to me
How
until
did they
this
bring it back
watching.
around?
But like at the end of the film, Tim Allen vaporizes Saris, and the audience goes apeshit because they think it's a show. So I said to Caitlin, "Yay! We just witnessed a murder and have no idea!" Woo!
Yeah, but that's a if you'd seen that.
Oh yeah, no, and
That's
I
pretty cool.
not known it was real. I thought that's fucking astounding. That is some actual magician shit, not sitting in a box full of water.
I haven't found that clip still. So
That's all right.
it may not. For all I'm figuring, it may not have been a magician. It may have been an actual.
Oh no, I remember when they did it.
Really?
And, like,
I
the guy was always
shared it.
It wasn't-
that was
it
a
wasn't
different.
a
That was a
magician.
world record attempt.
Who was this?
Oh.
What are you talking about?
From ages back, we talked about the magician in scare quotes who like was in water for like 10 days or whatever. Which again, to clarify, because I realized I didn't make it too clear in the episode, it's not that the stunt isn't impressive, but that's not magician. That's just a stunt.
Well, that's kind of like David Blaine now, right? Like pretty much everything David Blaine does.
Yeah,
at this
maybe that's
point
what it was, in fact.
Is just a stunt.
Yeah, but he still gets to be called a magician for some stupid reason. I'm not even sure if he could do pick a card, any card. But yeah, so all those people applauded a murder and had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's kind of darkly funny. Co-starring Rock Ingersoll. All right, with that, that has been Galaxy Quest. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, please do find and like our Facebook page, A Star to Steer Her By. We are on both Twitter and Tumblr as SSHB Podcast. Do please subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting application, and if you have iTunes or use iTunes or whatever, please consider giving us a rating and a review. Next week, we are finally starting The Next Generation, so look forward to that. I know Jake's excited.
Check the next generation.
I didn't know there were words to
nice.
it.
Oh, he
yeah.
said ages ago there are. He
There
said he's
are
going to
words.
sing them for us.
I will sing them for us next week.
Yeah.
We do Encounter Farpoint.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
So, for A Star to Steer Her By, this has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always Jake.
Thank you very much for listening.
Be sure to tip your yeoman.
I don't know.
Just making up bullshit.
I'm probably, there's like a 75% chance I'm making up bullshit.
I don't know.